Once upon a time, there lived a pretty young 19-year-old lady named Mary, who was said to be the hottest woman in town. Mary led a reckless lifestyle, sleeping with men for money. She believed life was meant to be enjoyed and refused to let anything stop her from living it to the fullest. Every man, both single and married, wanted to have a taste of her. Mary's parents were dedicated Christians. Her father was a pastor and the founder of a church with many followers, which he ran with his wife. Because of her lifestyle, Mary's parents disowned her. She had slept with half of the men in her father's church, as long as they were willing to give her money or other material things. Mary had undergone many abortions in the past and vowed never to have a child, believing that having a child would ruin her body and stop her from living her carefree lifestyle. One day, Mary noticed she was falling sick, so she decided to go to the hospital to see the doctor. After running several tests, she found out that she was pregnant. As usual, Mary told the doctor that she wanted to get rid of it. "Doctor, you know how we do it. Let's get this baby out real quick," she said. The doctor replied, "Mary, do you remember what I told you the last time you had an abortion?" "Yes, I do, doctor, but I can't afford to be a mother right now," Mary replied. The doctor continued with his explanation, "You had complications the last time you had an abortion, and I told you that should be the last time you ever tried it. You might lose your life or your womb if you attempt to have another abortion. Do you want to die?" Mary became angry and shouted at the doctor, calling him incompetent. She then proceeded to another clinic to have the baby taken out, but after a series of tests, she was advised not to have an abortion. The test showed that she might lose her life or her womb. Dejected and angry, Mary became depressed. She finally had to accept that she was going to have a baby soon. She didn't even know who the father was. After thinking for many days, she decided to move to another town, far from where she was currently living. 9 months later, she gave birth to a bouncing baby boy. Instead of being happy, Mary looked at the baby with so much disgust, blaming him for making the past 9 months miserable and almost unbearable for her. She quickly came up with a plan to dump the baby in the slum and move back to the city, where she could resume her reckless lifestyle. One evening, after making up her mind, Mary picked up the baby and walked down to the slum area. Without any hesitation or remorse, she dumped the baby on the ground. Ignoring his cries, she turned and walked away, never looking back. She didn't care if the baby would survive the night or not. The next morning, Mary quickly packed her bags and moved back to the city where she used to live. She lied to everyone, saying she had traveled abroad and was back for good. While she was going about lying to people about her sudden disappearance, the baby she left in the slum was crying heavily. The cries caught the attention of those walking near the slum area. They were all confused and scared, hesitant to go near the baby. "Whose baby is this? Why would someone abandon their child here? What a wicked world," they whispered to each other. One man named Peter could not bear the sound of the baby's cry. He hurriedly picked up the baby and gently cuddled him, taking him home. Upon getting home, Peter's wife, Stella, was dumbfounded. "Where did you get this baby from?" Stella curiously asked. Peter explained, "My wife, I saw this little boy in the slum while I was walking. I couldn't leave him there. I'm sure someone must have abandoned him." Still in shock, Stella voiced her concerns, "And you're sure no one is looking for this baby? I don't want any trouble, oh please." She took the baby from him, showered him, and made sure to take good care of him. Peter and Stella had been married for 9 years without a child. They didn't know if they were doing the right thing by taking in the baby of a stranger. They feared that if people found out the truth about the baby, they might be accused of kidnapping. After much consideration, they decided to keep the baby, hoping that by caring for him, he would bring them good luck and blessings and that one day they might have a child of their own. They named him Daniel. The news of the mysterious baby spread throughout the town, and people watched Peter and Stella closely to see how they treated the boy. As time passed, Daniel grew into a loving, intelligent child. He was kind, respectful, and grateful for the love Peter and Stella showered upon him. Despite their modest means, they ensured Daniel was well cared for, treating him as their own biological child. However, Daniel was not entirely happy. He often felt sad and isolated, struggling with the stigma attached to his origins. One evening, while they were sitting in the living room, Peter noticed the change in Daniel and said to him, "My boy, what is the matter? I've noticed you are not as cheerful and playful as you used to be. You barely smile these days. Did your mother scold you?" Daniel replied, "I'm sad, Daddy. Everywhere I go, they call me Slum Baby. They have a song they always sing for me. They say it was the slum demon that gave birth to me." Peter quickly stopped him from saying more. "Don't say that again. You are my child, my only son. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Forget all the names they call you outside. That's not who you are. You are my boy, and I love you so much." Despite Peter's reassurances, Daniel continued to face bullying and mockery at school. His classmates taunted him, singing cruel songs and making fun of his origins. Slum Baby, the only son of the dirty demon." Their words cut deep into Daniel's heart. He would cry his eyes out and sometimes run away from class to hide somewhere. While Daniel struggled with constant bullying, Mary carried on with her reckless lifestyle. She cared little about the fate of the child she had abandoned. She continued to pursue wealth and pleasure, never once considering the consequences of her actions. One day, as Mary was out and about her daily business, she met a very popular and wealthy politician named Senator Johnson. He was a very influential man whom every lady wanted as a sugar daddy. Senator Johnson had 6 wives, but that did not stop him from chasing after every single lady that caught his eye. Mary had been praying hard to meet him for a while so that she could have a share of his wealth. As time went on, they started talking, and Mary joined the long list of Senator Johnson's concubines. She hoped that someday she would finally become one of his wives and bear children for him. Her status increased, and her rank on the street reached legendary levels as Senator Johnson didn't hesitate to spoil her with money. However, after many years of dating him, he refused to marry her. Now growing older, Mary became increasingly desperate. She wanted to settle down and saw Senator Johnson as a ticket to securing her future. Despite her best efforts, she couldn't conceive a child with him. Mary became miserable and unhappy. Her inability to conceive drove her to despair. She visited numerous hospitals and clinics to see different specialists, but all to no avail. She slowly began to believe that God was punishing her for her past sins. "Oh God, I know I have done so many bad things in the past. Please forgive me and grant me this one wish, to have a child for Johnson so I can be his wife," Mary prayed, her voice filled with hope. While Mary was running around looking for a solution to her childbirth problem, Daniel was growing against all odds. He was proving those who bullied him and called him names wrong by excelling in his studies and other aspects of his life, making his parents proud. He recently finished secondary school as the best graduating student and won a scholarship to study any course of his choice at the university. Daniel wasn't sure what he wanted to become in the future. All he had ever desired was to be rich enough to help as many abandoned children and orphans as possible. He believed he was lucky to be saved by his current parents, Peter and Stella. One day, after thinking about his future, he said to his mother, "Stella, Mom, I think I want to be a doctor. I want to save lives. I think it's a profession I would enjoy for the rest of my life." Stella was overjoyed and immediately shared the news with Peter. They couldn't be prouder of their son. Although Daniel wasn't their biological child, he had brought immense joy into their lives, and they were thankful to God. A few months later, the universe played a trick on Mary. Daniel, the little boy she had abandoned years ago, chose to attend a prestigious university in the city where Mary lived. He knew the school produced some of the best doctors in the country. Daniel settled in well at the school and began his journey toward becoming a medical doctor. 4 years later, despite all her efforts, Mary's situation worsened. She remained childless and was approaching menopause. Happiness slowly faded away from her world, and she became increasingly unhappy with her current situation with Senator Johnson. She said to herself, "I can't be this man's side chick forever. He will see another woman somewhere and forget me. I have to do all it takes for him to marry me. What if he dies today? What will be my gain from going out with him all these years? I don't care what I will get myself into. I want to be Senator Johnson's wife and nothing else. If he can spend this much on me as his concubine, imagine how much of his wealth I will have access to as his wife. I can't be a loser in this life." After seeking advice from people on how to find a solution to her childlessness, Mary was told about a powerful man in a neighboring town who helps people who are unable to bear a child. She quickly picked herself up and embarked on a journey to the said town. But tragedy struck as Mary was involved in a very fatal motor accident that took the life of her driver and left her in a coma. Darkness filled her world as she lay helplessly in the hospital bed. While in a coma and fighting for her life, she began to see the face of her baby and had flashbacks of how she had dumped him in the slum. She had no friends or family to visit her or pray for her recovery. After a few weeks in the intensive care unit, Mary finally woke up and immediately started screaming, "My boy! My boy! Please help me find my boy! I want to see my boy, please!" She was terrified and in pain. The doctors rushed to attend to her, ensuring she was stable. After a while, as Mary gradually regained her strength, the doctors decided it was time to discuss her condition with her. "Miss Mary, how are you feeling today? We are glad to have you back," the doctor said kindly. Mary replied calmly, "I'm fine, doctor, thanks for asking. But where is my driver? Is he okay?" The doctor's expression turned somber. "We are deeply sorry, Miss Mary. Your driver didn't survive the accident, he died on the spot." Mary's eyes filled with tears, and she wailed, her grief consuming her. "Please take it easy, Miss Mary," the doctor said gently. "We have been meaning to ask you, by the way, do you have any family members that we can talk to? We need to discuss some issues about your health, and we are afraid you might need the support of a relative or a close friend." Mary became curious and scared. "I don't have any family or friends. Am I going to die? I'm old enough to handle my emotions. Please, whatever is happening to me, you need to tell me. I need to know," Mary assured the doctor, trying to prepare herself for whatever news was coming. The doctor sighed and said, "Mary, the accident affected your spinal cord and knees. I'm afraid you might not be able to walk again for the rest of your life." Upon hearing this, Mary lost it. She started sweating and crying heavily, devastated by the news. "I am finished. I am finished. How will I survive without my legs?" she cried out, her anguish echoing through the room. While Mary was receiving treatment, Senator Johnson, her sugar daddy, never set foot in the hospital to check up on her. He completely ignored her, as she was not useful for his enjoyment at that moment. He quickly moved on to the arms of the next beautiful woman available to him. After 3 months in the hospital, Mary was discharged and taken home. She hired a maid to help her around the house. A few years ago, Mary had been too preoccupied with enjoying life and lavishing money on irrelevant things rather than setting up a business or preparing for her future. She worried less about what was to come, confident that she would end up marrying a wealthy man and securing her future. But now, the reality of life has put her in an uncomfortable position. After trying so hard to reach out to Senator Johnson, she finally got his attention. He sent her a text message saying, "Mary, my dear, how are you? I heard all about what happened to you recently, and I'm deeply sorry that I couldn't find time to come visit you. You know I'm a very busy man, and that's why you haven't been able to reach me. This might be the last time you hear from me, as you are not useful to me anymore. Please get well soon." Mary was devastated. Her meal ticket had been taken away from her. The man she thought would give her the world had moved on to another woman. She would be lost in deep thought every day and night, wishing she had lived a more prudent life. While life was dealing harshly with Mary, her abandoned son Daniel kept breaking boundaries. He recently completed his degree and graduated as one of the top students in his class. He got employed in one of the biggest private hospitals in the country. Peter and Stella never stopped thanking God. Since Daniel came into their lives, they had always been happy, and things went from bad to better for them. They could now proudly call themselves the father and mother of a doctor. The people who used to mock Daniel as "your slum baby" now used his blessings and progress in life as a prayer point for themselves and their children. Determined not to suffer for the rest of her life, Mary began looking for businesses to start or companies to invest in. She had saved some money when she was dating Senator Johnson and decided to ask for help from people she knew. One day, while Mary was on the phone talking to some people about wanting to invest in something profitable, she called her maid, Tina. Tina saw an opportunity to swindle Mary. She quickly called her Yahoo boyfriend, who was involved in internet fraud. They came up with a perfect plan. Tina found a way to get her boyfriend to meet with Mary and pitch his business ideas to her. After thinking hard for a few days, Mary decided to go into business with him, and they moved on to sign some documents to make the partnership official. 6 days after sealing the business deal, while Mary was in the sitting room, her maid Tina came to inform her that she needed to go to the market to do some shopping. "Madam, please, I want to quickly rush to the market to buy some ingredients for dinner. Do you want me to do anything before I leave?" Tina asked. Mary gently replied, "No, I'm okay. Just make sure you don't stay too long. By the way, why are you carrying a bag with you?" Tina smiled and said, "It's nothing serious. I want to drop off some of my clothes I don't wear anymore with some of the beggars in the market." After that, Tina left and never came back. Mary became worried and said to herself, "Where could this girl be? I told her not to come back late. What kind of thing is this? And I'm so hungry right now." The night passed, and Tina did not return. Mary started to panic heavily. She didn't know who to call or what to do. In desperation, she called the police, but they told her they couldn't declare Tina missing until she had been gone for 48 hours. Mary had no idea that her life was about to go from bad to worse. She received a text from Tina. Surprised, curious, and eager to know the content of the message, she quickly opened it. The message read, "Hello madam, I hope you are doing well. I want to save you a lot of stress by sending you this message. I just want to let you know that I'm not working with you any longer. In case you don't know, the man you invested in his business is my boyfriend, and we have scammed you. All your money is gone. I overheard you talking about wanting to put your money in a business, and I took advantage of it. Don't even bother looking for us because you will never find us. Have a wonderful day." Tina and her internet fraudster boyfriend had left the country and relocated to another place where they could enjoy all the money. Mary started sweating. Another arrow had hit her in the chest. She was still dealing with not being able to walk, and now this. She began thinking of ways to kill herself, concluding that there was nothing left for her in this world. As months went by, she was evicted from her apartment because she couldn't afford the rent. She had nowhere else to go, no family, no friends. To survive, Mary became a beggar on the street, sleeping in the slum. The stench of the slum became the only air she breathed. One day, while begging on the streets, she intentionally moved her wheelchair into the path of a moving car. She was tired of life and just wanted to die. Thankfully, the car wasn't at full speed and slowed down just in time, avoiding hitting her. And guess what? The boy she had abandoned in the slum many years ago was the man driving the car. Immediately after the near-miss incident, Daniel started panicking. He was scared and quickly rushed out of the car to make sure the woman he almost hit was okay. "Madam, are you okay? I hope I didn't hurt you," he asked with genuine concern. With tears rolling down her cheeks, Mary replied, "Why did you stop your car? You should have run me over and killed me. My life is miserable. I just want to die." Daniel became more worried. He quickly rushed Mary to the hospital so she could be taken care of properly. While Mary was resting, Daniel couldn't stop thinking about what had happened. He thought of many reasons why Mary would want to kill herself, and he realized how close he had come to being in serious trouble had he accidentally killed her. After a while, Mary felt a bit better, and Daniel said to her, "Madam, how are you feeling? I hope you have rested well." Mary assured Daniel that she was feeling better and thanked him for taking care of her. Daniel continued, "But madam, why would you want to kill yourself? Why did you think that is the solution to whatever problem you are going through?" Mary started crying. She had nothing to hide anymore. She began narrating her story, telling Daniel about her journey so far and the events that led up to the accident. Upon hearing everything Mary had to say, Daniel got emotional. He felt a strange sense of familiarity. He started connecting the dots, realizing that the name of the town and the particular spot she said she had abandoned the baby was exactly where he had been found. He didn't want to jump to conclusions or make unnecessary assumptions, so he assured Mary that everything would be all right and promised to take good care of her. He excused himself from Mary's hospital ward and went to the office, crying and saying to himself, "If my assumptions are right, this woman is my biological mother. I will never forgive her. I just can't." Daniel quickly swung into action by arranging for a maternity test to confirm if Mary was his biological mother. When the results came back positive, Daniel was devastated. He dropped to his knees and screamed, overwhelmed by the flood of emotions. Questions raced through his mind, each one more painful than the last. Determined to find answers, Daniel traveled back to inform his parents, Peter and Stella, about the incident and the sudden discovery of his mother. He also expressed his anger and the deep-seated hatred he felt towards Mary. Understanding his turmoil, Peter and Stella sat him down and spoke gently. "My boy, you know we love you so much, and we will always be here for you," Peter began. "But it doesn't change the fact that we are not your biological parents. Your mother will always be your mother, and you just have to learn to forgive and forget. Look on the bright side, God has always found a way to bless you, despite everything you've been through in life. Please, forgive your mother and let peace reign." Daniel thought hard about what his parents said. He realized that holding on to hatred would only harm him further. Deciding to let bygones be bygones, he chose to forgive Mary and focus on building a relationship with her. A few days later, he traveled back to the hospital to see Mary. He couldn't wait to reveal to her that he was her son. When he arrived, he checked on Mary and, seeing that she was doing better, he handed her the test results. "Please, take this and go through the results, Ma," he said softly. Mary, curious and with a trembling voice, asked, "What is this about? Am I dying?" Daniel assured her, "No, it's good news. But you need to see for yourself." Mary carefully looked at the test results, her mind racing. Suddenly, her eyes widened. "Jesus, are you serious? Is this not your name I'm seeing on this result? You are my son. Oh, my son is alive. Thank you, God, my son is alive," she shouted, overwhelmed with emotion. Mary's heart ached with regret and sorrow. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she begged for forgiveness. "I'm sorry, my son. I'm sorry. I didn't know better. I was young and stupid. Please, find a place in your heart to forgive me." They both shed tears of joy, embracing each other as mother and son for the first time. It was an emotional scene, filled with both pain and happiness, as Daniel and Mary began to rebuild their relationship. Slowly but surely, Mary began to understand the true meaning of love and sacrifice. A few days later, Peter and Stella met with Mary, and she couldn't stop thanking them for taking such good care of her son. As time passed, Mary's health continued to improve. She decided to dedicate herself to helping others, starting a charity to support abandoned and orphaned children, hoping to prevent other children from experiencing what her son had gone through. Let us know what you think about this story in the comment section. Please like, share, and subscribe for more amazing stories.